my first question, my application controls. Guys, this was a nice, easy question. If you know your application controls, you can then simply apply them to the computer information system that they're using, and at this point it was the app. Okay, so like I said in the question, this is theory, but you must show how the theory would be applicable in this scenario, but you could come up with all the different controls. So we can see they've got minimum entry, they've got layout, they've got screen prompts, there is mandatory fields, sequence numbering, my program checks, so field presence or missing data, alphanumerical, size, reasonableness, verification, check digits. Okay, and then my output controls, exception reports, and logs. And then guys, some of those processing controls, control totals, to make sure that they add up. The second question, substantive procedures for the loyalty program liability. Okay, so you needed to really make sure you are comfortable with how IFRS says you account for it. Go make sure that it's authorized. The only reason why this is there, guys, because the question was asking you for accuracy. But because there's an estimate, and part of my procedures for an estimate is if it is a new estimate, it must be authorized. So because of that, you would get your authorization mark here, because that's how we go about testing estimates. Okay, if we weren't testing an estimate and we were simply testing a calculation, I wouldn't be looking for authorization, because that would be for the occurrence assertion, not for the accuracy. All right. Then, have they complied with IFRS 15? Are they capable of complying with it? Okay, then this mark here, guys, you probably would never have got it. I wouldn't have got it, but this was included in the ITC solution. And so it's included here. Have they marketed according to the loyalty program terms and conditions? Okay, other than that, it was on the 16th of November, so I want to make sure that all customers who joined the app post that were included in the loyalty program. Recalculate, first of all, the number of points that are earned, the standalone value of the points earned, which you would need to first calculate the total points, rand value. Okay, which I don't see them doing. Down here they've done it. So once you've done that, then you can calculate the standalone value, your transaction price. How do we get that? You've got to use the standalone ratios, proportion, to get to the transaction price portion, so you can work out the contract liability. Because remember, guys, you'll have your standalone price and then your transaction value. You'll have it for your product, and then you'll have it for the customer loyalty. Then your standalone price over here is what's going to be the total price over here. You're going to have to work out the standalone price for the customer loyalty program here, which is that percentage applied, and then you get a total here. So let's call this an R. Then to get my transaction price here, I have to take this divided by this times by this to get the amount there. And then the transactional price for the customer loyalty is the balancing figure. Okay, so when I say we're looking at the proportion and according to the standalone selling prices, that's what we're looking at, that ratio, in order to calculate the transactional price. Okay, then there's an estimate, so we've got to test the assumptions and the reasonableness of that. So understand how they've gone about doing it. They use the researcher, look at his competence and his objectivity, make sure his report does actually say that amount, then test the report, test the calculation, test that it is reasonable according to the industry norms. Okay, make sure there weren't any loyalty points included that were older than the 4 months, and make sure there were no points given when they paid through using the points. Okay, so those were the terms that were in the scenario, and you just needed to go and test that those terms were adhered to. In terms of my audit procedures for my related parties, so they start to make it a little bit more relevant. Who are the related parties? But for completeness, guys, we're looking for any additional that may not have been disclosed. So asking who they are, evaluating their controls, and then going and looking at all the different documents available to help identify related parties that haven't been disclosed or accounted for. Making sure that they have been disclosed and accounted for according to IFRS. Getting a management rep letter, so we didn't do that or discuss that, but very important for all three assertions. It's a general procedure. You can include your general procedures when doing my substantive procedures here for the related parties. Okay, and then these are just some more of the documents we can look at to identify. For occurrence, checking the authorization, and then for accuracy, the procedures to test. So here's some specific: recalculate, compare the costs to market related, compare the selling price or credit terms to market related, so we can make sure that they are at arm's length. Okay, and then confirming with the different related parties and making sure that they make logical sense. Alright, guys, so testing as much of the topics that we could with the 40-mark question, splitting it between test of control, substantive, and then adding in your experts, your estimates, related parties. Okay, so a nice paper to get you prepared for your test. All the best for your test, guys.